So you want to get into trap shooting, but the problem is you're not sure where to start. You also may be wondering about everything you need, what techniques would be useful. Well, want to know more because I'm here to explain just that. Welcome to the 50 Beowulf YouTube channel, and this is how to get started with trap shooting. Now this video will be the type of person who may be wondering how exactly trap shooting works. Maybe for someone who has gone before, they like it, they want to keep doing it, and just so people have a good idea of how trap shooting works. So far I've gotten 8 perfect rounds, and here's some proof if you don't believe me. So anyways, getting right into it, I think we should start off with a little bit of history. Trap shooting first became a sport in the late 18th century as a method to practice bird hunting. And for a long time, live birds were actually used. The most popular, which was the now extinct passenger pigeon, which was extremely common at the time. But as the sport started to become more common, artificial targets saw more widespread use. The equipment became more sophisticated and eventually evolved into the sport we know today. The objective of trap shooting is to break 25 clay targets using 25 shots. The most common firearm used for trap shooting is a shotgun, obviously, as it would be quite difficult to hit a moving target with something like a pistol or rifle. As far as shotgun gauges go, the most common used for trap shooting is the 20 gauge and the 12 gauge. The 12 gauge being the largest shell size allowed for trap shooting. So now let's discuss the layout of a typical trap shooting setup, which I have drew out in this little diagram right here. So as you can see right here, there are 5 different stations where all the shooters stand, with one shooter at each station. This right here is where the scorekeeper sits, and if you look at this big box right here, mostly referred to as the trap house, as you can see, is where all the magic happens. This is where the clay thrower sits and spits out a target when you say pull. And once that happens, the thrower can be in any position, and this will depend on where the target goes. It can go right, up the middle, and it can go off to the left, and it doesn't care what station you're at either. So the round will start off when the scorekeeper says, okay, whenever you're ready, to the person at the first station. Once he or she says pull and shoots, the person at the second station will do the same. And that continues until the 5th station shoots, and then the process will start all over again and continue until everyone in the squad has fired 5 shots. Then the scorekeeper will say switch, and each person moves 1 station to the right. Station 1 moves to Station 2, Station 2 moves to Station 3, and Station 5 moves to Station 1. This process repeats until everyone has fired 25 rounds and has been to each station once. And this means that the round is now over. So now that you have a good idea of how exactly the sport of trap shooting works, let's talk about where you can do this kind of stuff, what kind of equipment you need, and how much it's going to cost. Let's start off with places. Obviously, if you live in a major city, you're going to have to take a bit of a drive to get to a place where you can do this, since it is very illegal to discharge a firearm within city limits. Personally, my first choice would be the nearest gun club, since most of those have a nice trap setup that I just talked about. But if there isn't a gun club that's close enough to your liking, whether you live in a city or not, another option would be to go out to a rural area and bust some clays out there. And I think that there's 2 ways you can go about doing this. One of them is to get like a little $20 hand thrower like this, recruit a friend and have him throw the clays, or you can get a $400 machine like this one that can do all the throwing automatically, which may seem like a thorough waste of money, but it's actually a must-have if you do a lot of trap shooting like myself. So with that said, we have discussed how trap shooting works and where you can go trap shooting. So let's move on to all the equipment you need and how much it will cost you. The first thing I'm going to talk about is safety.
Safety is number one priority.
The only two things you need for safety gear is eye protection and hearing protection. But now there are some ranges that don't require eye protection, but it's very strongly recommended that you use it, mostly because of the strong muzzle blast that can sometimes come backward and hit you in the face. For this, really, any old pair of safety glasses will do the trick, but for trap shooting, I recommend using glasses either that are colored yellow or a light amber. The different colored sunglasses will actually help improve the contrast of the clay target against the background, and I think I got this particular pair for about $20 at Flea Farm, so that's a pretty affordable item. Now for hearing protection. So firearms can be very loud, so unless you want to go deaf sometime throughout your life, please use ear protection. A lot of times your gun club will even provide you with free earplugs for you to use. There's kind of a debate over which earplugs and earmuffs work the best, but really any kind of earplugs will do as long as it's not one of those that have like a styrofoam tip on them, because they have a tendency to actually deteriorate inside of your ear canals, so don't use those. In my opinion, ear muffs are better than plugs, because with plugs you have to roll them up, stick them in, and then wait for them to expand, but with muffs you just pop them on and you're good to go. The type of muffs that I recommend to people is these Walker's Alpha muffs. They're like normal earmuffs, but they actually have microphones in them, so you can hear everything normally while you're shooting, so that's pretty cool. These can go for about $40. Now the last piece of equipment that I think that everybody should have is a vest. Whether it's a vest or a belt, they all do the same job, to hold your shells for you. Now it's time for the fun part, which is shotguns. Now you may be thinking to yourself, wow, there's so many different types, or there's so many styles, and how in the world do I choose? I mean, yeah, there are several different types of shotguns, but the type that you should pick should depend on what you're going to use it for. Now, if you're only going to be trap shooting, then I would suggest either a single shot or an over-under like this. But if you plan to go like hunting with your shotgun as well as trap shooting, then I would pick a pump action like this or a semi-auto. But with all that, there are a variety of manufacturers and therefore prices to choose from. Now this right here is a Winchester Model 120, and it's probably on the low end of the spectrum. You can pick this up at a pawn shop for about $200 to $300. But this SKB RS300, on the other hand, this is a semi-auto, is a lot nicer, has a few more features, and it's also really good for trap shooting because of all these adjustable parts that you can see here. Something like this goes for about $1,300. And just remember, if you're ever having trouble picking one out, there will usually be someone at your local gun club that can help you out with that. And sometimes they'll even let you use a club gun for free. So let's talk about the ammo for them. With me, I really don't care what kind of ammo I put through my firearms, and we always just get whatever is cheap. We get something like that whenever it's $5 per box, which is a pretty good deal. But if you're looking for a more premium type of ammo, Winchester AA's are a good choice. They're usually about $8 to $9 per box, and if you're going to a club, the shotgun shells provided are usually provided in the initial range fee. The same thing applies to your clay targets. If you're going to be shooting at home, a box of 90 clay targets are about $7 to $8 on a good deal. And there are a variety of different colors to choose from as well. Some are orange, black, white, or yellow, but the most common of which is orange. Okay, so now that you know all the places you can go trap shooting and all of the equipment that you will need, let's move on to some of the techniques you can use while trap shooting. My favorite of these techniques is what I like to call the swivel technique. This is when you get up to your station, you position your feet where you can swivel your hips the most comfortable. For example, when I'm at the 5th station, I want to position my feet like this, so if I get a hard right, it'll be a lot easier to go and catch it. The next technique I like to use, and my coach always tells everyone this, but it's to keep the gun on your shoulder in the same spot every time that you raise it up to shoot. This is very important because if you move it on your shoulder just a little bit, you can miss the clay target by like a whole foot. Oh, so those are just a couple of the techniques I like to use while trap shooting. There's many more, but those are just a couple. But okay, so now that I've told you all the places that you can go trap shooting, the equipment you need, what it's going to cost, a couple tips and tricks that you can use, I'll just about wrap up this video. The next gun video I will post in about 2 weeks because I'm actually taking a trip to Yellowstone and I may do a couple vlogs while I'm out there. But the next video will be what a typical round of trap shooting looks like. So thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.